Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on leading the new normal with data governance. We are very happy to have you here today. My name is Rachel, and I'm with the marketing team here at Compunel Digital. And just a few housekeeping things before we get started here this morning. If you have any questions, please enter them in the chat for the webinar, and we will answer questions at the end. No question is silly. Please enter whatever you think might be important to you or your organization. And with that, I'll go ahead and introduce our speaker today. Our speaker today is Srinivasa Srini Jalu. And Srini is our Director of Enterprise Data and Insights here at Compunel Digital. And he has over 18 years of experience in software development, big data design, data analytics, data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and several other technologies. And he's led data projects for several Fortune 500 companies. He has a ton of experience in the data space, and really his expertise is second to none. Particularly with regards to the new normal, Srini has led teams that are offshore and remote for several years, so he really is uniquely qualified to help organizations navigate this new normal that we're living in with COVID-19. So with that, I will go ahead and turn things over to Srini. Again, if you're just joining us, if you have questions, please feel free to enter them in the chat, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. Thank you for joining us, and Srini, I'll let you take it over.
Thank you, Rachel, for the quick introduction. Thanks a lot. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this webinar. So let's begin with the actual agenda and further. So let's catch up on the agenda. So what we are going to discuss today. So, as we said, categorize the data challenges, especially during the COVID-19 situations for the organizations, and the data governance solution, implementation methodology and roadmap, benefits of enterprise data warehouse governance, and we will touch base a couple of industry-wide use cases for data governance and other data area. And then we will go for a question and answers. Then we will answer all your questions. So with that, we are good to go. So categorize data challenges due to COVID-19. So you might have observed a lot of challenges, the similar challenges, even more challenges, what we mentioned here. These are some of the challenges we mentioned, but not limited to. So baseline requirements of the data handling and compliance are changing by the minute. There are certain regulatory industries, a lot of compliance is required. In that case, during this COVID-19, everybody is not in normal mode. Everybody is remote. Everything is going remote. So a lot of challenges, the problems happen because regulatory industries. So they have to face a lot of compliance issues, and that compliance challenges will change a minute to minute, every day, maybe a week. Handling that kind of challenges is very big issue for nowadays for the organizations. And the protect and govern your sensitive data is very difficult task when data is sitting in multiple sources. So when you take any big organization, any of the organization, data is not on same place. Data will be scattered across on the multiple systems and multiple applications. And in that case, particularly during this COVID-19 and remote operation system scenario, protecting and governing sensitive data is very difficult task. And determining how to keep the critical functions running when many different data ecosystems across the enterprise, but no way to share the data artifacts across them. So everybody wants to keep their regular business critical functions running smoothly without having any difficulty. But the different data ecosystems involved in any of the organizations, there's no way to share the data artifacts across them. So this is one more challenge we identified. Issues while data consumption remotely, everybody wants to access certain data remotely, but the challenge is it's very difficult for them to data access and maintain privacy. Maintaining privacy, we cannot provide access just like that in remote times. At the same time, we cannot stop our business. So how to handle this? So how to adapt new methodologies to meet regulatory challenges? Nowadays, everything is going towards digitalization. So the data accumulation also should help to support that initiative. But how to adapt new methodologies and technologies to meet regulatory challenges? It's a challenge nowadays. So how to sustain business growth with best use of data? You know, we have a data, but how to use it in a best way to sustain our business growth? In particularly in COVID-19 situation, this is one more challenge we identified. With that, I'm moving to some pain points for organizations related to data, especially. So, what kind of pain points? You may observe some of the pain points even covered in your organization. You may be facing this pain points. Lack of planning and control, especially supply chain. We cannot plan. What is the number of things that we needs to deliver and control over that, because everything is remotely managed. It's very tough and tough job. And use exchange of data with partners and suppliers. So our partners and suppliers, everybody is working, dealing remotely these days. No hand-to-hand shake or no direct connection or direct work. So in this kind of situation, using and exchanging data with partners and suppliers also is so difficult. So generating additional data, meantime, sensor technology or any other technology generating additional data, how to handle it, and analysis of large data in real time. On the real time side, we need to analyze it, large amount of data, inefficient exchange of data across the value chain, in different groups or the departments, maybe different functions. To exchange of the data across the value chain is difficult at this current situation. And with that, I'm moving to top priorities for organizations. Maybe you can connect with your priorities also listed here. This is as per Gartner. We took these top priorities for organizations. Revenue and business growth. Of course, this is the top priority for any kind of organizations from anywhere, though it is a bad time, a critical situation. Digital initiatives. So as I mentioned in earlier slide, digital initiatives are helping a lot during this COVID-19 situation. So this is one more priority. And operational excellence, new products and services, ERP, cost optimization and reduction, customer experience, business or financial goals, data and analytics, business mode change, other. So these are all the different top priorities for organizations these days. Digital initiatives also one of the major thing, and operational excellence also very important thing to manage. But in this case, when everybody is working remotely, every application, every data centers, maybe every business function is working remotely, it's very challenging. But these are the priorities for the organizations nowadays. This is as per Gartner we prepared. And in this slide, how to apply adaptive data and analytics governance to current practices and new trends. If you look at how to apply this adaptive mechanism and data analytics governance to the current practices and new trends. So if you look at the control, this is the main thing for any organization where we deal with data governance, regulatory compliance, master data management, application data management, and around that, outcomes of it, we go for predictive analytics, multi-channel customer experience, customer 360, supply chain analytics, these kind of things around. And then we go with agility, data science labs, machine learning, self-service models, and then autonomous way we run AI algorithms, IoT, real-time auditing. So these are all the different things that we want to apply adaptive data and analytics governance to current practices and new trends. So that's fine. So far, we have seen a lot of challenges, a lot of data issues, maybe a top priorities for the organizations, some of the specific pain points to the organizations. We are good so far, but how to solve it? So we are feeling data governance is one-stop solution for all these things. in this current situations, how to manage regulatory, how to manage compliance, how to maintain confidence and security of the data, how to exchange the data, what are the different policies that we can adapt so quickly, so all these things to run smoothly and implement smoothly data governance, we feel is one-stop solution. We see what is it and what are the components of the data governance. So if you look at thoroughly, so top to bottom I'm coming. Business strategy should be aligned with data strategy. In any organization, business strategy will be there. Of course, in the back end, different applications, different systems consumes their data. So they will have their data strategy. But end of the day, this business strategy should be aligned with the data strategy. And the next one is very foremost important point for any of the organizations. If you look at any organization, people, processes, policy, and culture, here we begin with data governance idea. Data governance things will takes place here, and people will be there, to implement certain process. What are the guidelines? What are the policy that we define? What sort of culture we build? So all these things will be there, and then leveraging and managing data for strategic advantage. So this is more important. The next level is we have a lot of data in different formats, in different areas, and scattered across the organization. But if you don't have how to leverage and managing this data, you cannot achieve a strategic advantage. So though we have data, we will not be in a position to utilize it, manage it, get the strategic advantage out of it. So for this, what this framework will define, there is a master data management, data warehousing, business intelligence, big data analytics, data quality, and data architecture and modeling. These are all the some of the key aspects of the any of the organization on the data side under data governance. So master data management will give you the master copy or prepare the golden copy of the records, and data warehouse will consume all the data and integrated applications which are it will collect all the data from different applications sitting across the organization, across the global space, so it will collect the data and keep it in data warehouse. And then with this data we will build the reports and using business intelligence methodology and technicals. And of course we have these days we are coming across lot of unstructured data around. So to utilize it, we should have a big data ecosystem in place so that we can integrate unstructured data along with the structured data, so that we can get some certain trends, some certain information out of that logs, out of that unstructured data. Maybe you can take an example of social media, let it be a LinkedIn, let it be a Facebook or a Twitter or any other sort of social media. You can get certain insights for your organization. And then data quality, of course, without this, how much data you collected is not that much be useful. When you're providing the qualitative data to the organization, we can share it across, utilize it without having any hurdles, and we can utilize it. And then data architecture and modeling, and then we will go to the coordinating and integrating disparate data sources. So as I mentioned earlier, how to integrate them into a single place, and how to maintain data security, data integration, metadata management, data cataloging. These are all the important aspects of it. When then we go to the bottom up management and inventory of the data sources. These are all the real data sources or data applications we come in any organization. We will see any organization databases. There will be multiple databases, big data, unstructured data, semi-structured data, as well as content and product management information. So these are all the information we will have. So if you look at each and every component in this picture will be the components of the data governance. Data governance is not a project, it's a program. End of the day, to maintain all of this, there will be a people involved in it, and then process will be defined, and that process will have certain guidelines and policies to maintain a culture And of course, that culture will be maintained. This process will be implemented using certain data in the backend. That data to provide and support that data elements. These are all the different components we deal with under data governance. So what's the data governance strategy? What are the 4 pillars of data governance? You may surprise, before getting to know certain aspects of the data governance strategy. What are the 4 pillars of data governance? As I said, people means here data owners. It could be a stewards, IT solutions managers, and then data creators, consumers. Assign any responsibility to the persons. These are all the people, and the process and policies. Those will implement this process and policies. Standardization of the definition and reuse it. Data quality management. SDLC for IT system management. Establish an organizational policy. So all this comes under process and policy. That's the second pillar. Third one is execution of the model. So based on the organization requirement, we need to build the model, and within this execution of the model, we will see the scope and mandate and centralized and federated models and funding and budgeting. These are all the aspects and models will cover under the execution model. And then tools and technologies. Of course, this is the idea we have discussed so far, but to implement this, there should be certain set of tools and technologies are required. So what are the tools and technologies here we deal with to support data governance strategy? It's a metadata and data quality, classification, security audits, data masking, reference data, and master data. These are certain tools and technologies we deal with. And setting up a data governance streaming committee. So for any project to be successful, there is a group of people will sit together and form a team, and they will assign certain roles and responsibilities, and then they will execute that project. The similar way, even for the data governance also, we have a steering committee, data governance steering committee. So within the steering committee, who are all be participant, or who are all the contributors, what sort of people they are, what kind of things are involved. Definitely for any project or the program, sponsor should be there. Within the under that steering committee will be domain owners, information consumers, enablers. Who is the domain owners? It's the stakeholders from customer or finance department, or a sales department, operations department, or a HR department. These are all the stakeholders from each domain. These are all the domain owners. So these are all the also part of this steering committee. And the information consumers, business users, especially who is going to use the data, maybe through their reports, maybe through their Excel sheets, to share or to work with, to deal with. These are all the business users are called here as information consumers. And then enablers. Okay, enablers means enterprise data architect and infrastructure management teams. For anything, there should be enablers or implementers are required. These are the people are implementers or enablers. Those are from IT team. Especially we call them enterprise data architects, maybe data architects, technical teams, and information and infrastructure management teams. And then we have an example of defining ownership during enterprise data governance. If you observe closely here, this is one example how we are going to define ownership during enterprise data governance, and what are all the different bits and pieces or different phases among the enterprise data governance. As I mentioned, sponsors will be there, executive body will be there, there is a steering committee, and then they will create a policies and procedures, and that policies and procedures to implement, there is a stewardship team. There are 2 types of stewardship: data stewards, technical stewards, business representatives. Governance group will be there. Through using their help, we will enforce and we will implement certain models. To implement the models, again, we will use the architect team, enterprise data architect, enterprise models. So once everything is ready, we deal with the data. We will initiate data models and all. Within this master data management, you can call data warehousing, you can call, within this we will ingest the data, cleanse the data, match and merge. We will apply certain rules over here, and distribute the data across the company. So this is one simple example of how to set up defining ownership during enterprise data governance. And these are the simple example for different parts what are involved in enterprise data governance. Now, I'm going to move implementation methodology and roadmap. So in this, what are the things covered here? Discovery, assessment, and gap analysis. Of course, for any of the program or the project, there will be a discovery phase, assessment phase, and gap analysis also. So if you look at the left side, if you look at the left side here, there will be a sponsors group will be there, and the right side, what is the current state of the organization, current state of the data will be there. So they will first discovery of it, assessment, they will come to assessment, they will fill the gap analysis, and then they will implement standardization and implementation part. So what are the gaps they found in discovery phase or assessment phase, and they will standardize that and implement one by one and translate objectives into analytical requirements, create high level solution designs, determine technical and scientific tools. So they will identify certain tools and technologies, the models, everything, in the form of standardization. So the business needs and the existing capabilities will clubbed here. What is the business existing capabilities? What are the business needs? They will combine both, and they will discover, analyze, and fill the gap, and then they will execute. They will standardize, and then they will execute. In the execution phase, there is implementation plan, the leadership planning team, and a cultural readiness. Project development and execution, training and documentation. So, and once the implementation is done, we will push the new capabilities to the organization framework, so that anybody from the organization, maybe it could be a business users or consumers or end users, there is suppliers, or maybe the different group heads within the organization.
All right, everyone, if you're still there, it seems like we're having some technical difficulties. Let me see if I can get Srini back on the line.
Are you able to hear me?
Yep, now I can. Can everyone?
Okay.
Okay, I think we're back on.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
ahead,
Thank
Srini.
you. Thank you. So it's a high-level roadmap. By looking at, if you, though we know that data governance is not a project, it's a program, but end of the day, there is a measurable pieces, measurable pieces in the form of projects. Of course, what size of the organization we have. Within the organization, what sort of business we do, what kind of regulatory systems we apply, what sort of end users are there, what sort of different groups and departments are there, each department or each line of business, how they will deal with it. So all this kind of things are there. But instead of in this initial stage, we will understand end to end of the organization structure, but to implement it, we have to identify which group we will deal with first. So what is their needs, how to fulfill their needs, what kind of data requirements they have. All these things we deal with first. We in our roadmap, we have a 6 to 8 week plan. What we will do in this 8 week, we will prepare. Preparation we will take 2+ weeks, and then assessment maybe 3 to 5 days a week, and then conclusions, what to do, how to deal with it, 2 more weeks. Okay, so in this way our 8-week plan will work. In the preparation stage, scope determination, review of the process, and recruit participants, and logistics, arrange the logistics and all, and then assessment. So on-site, offshore model, kickoff, workshops, a document review, wrap up briefing. all these assessments things will happen in the next 3 to 5 days or a week. And then conclusion states, maybe 2+ weeks or 3 weeks we take here, review findings. What is the what are our findings? Maybe interviews with the different stakeholders, what they need, what their expectations, and then formulate recommendations. Sometimes if they recommend such good things, we will formulate it and incorporate it and develop final report. This final report is a bit confidential at this moment. Only a steering committee can get the access to it. And executive briefing, then we will give the demo. So this is our plan, how to implement it, how to go ahead, and how to deal with the things further. And benefits of enterprise data governance. Here we see what is the benefits of enterprise data governance. If you look at any of the organization, they will deal with multiple things. Let it be a data. In that case, lot of duplicate data they will come across, because the same set of data will be stored across their organization in different applications. So how to deal with it, and how to master that golden copy, and then operational efficiency. So what sort of things that we can apply and support to improve their operational efficiency and achieve their operational efficiency, improving an operational process now enabled in the organization to increase the customer satisfaction, especially improve sales through cross-selling and upselling abilities. So this is one of the benefit we can achieve through data governance, enterprise data governance. And compliance, this is most important thing for any of the organization which are there in regulatory systems. It is more important, ability to stay compliant. So compliance is required, periodic reports that need to be set to federal and state agencies. If you look at any financial institutions or the healthcare institutions, they have to provide certain reports, maybe a monthly, weekly, or quarterly basis. So when the government changes certain rules and regulations, our organizations also should cope up with that, adopt that new regulations and implement it so quickly. So this compliance also so important for any of the organization to be successful and to run safely under the government guidelines, or under the certain government bodies guidelines. So this is one more advantage we can achieve using the enterprise data governance. And then data stewards enabled. For example, there's a lot of data, but how to deal with it, how to approve it, nobody knows. Once we formulate the things, once we settle the things, we define the policies and regulations process, and then they will approve what is right, what is wrong. In this, data stewardship will more efficient in implementation of the standards, policies of the organizations, the right set of user experience and the administration methods. Okay, this is one more advantage that we can achieve using enterprise data and governance. And effective targeting. So when you have the right set of data at right time, you can targeting your end customers in a right way and right time. So effective targeting also very important. Identifying potential customers also and right time in a right way, is in appropriate way, is very important. So this is one more advantage we can get through enterprise data governance. Get clean and stay clean. With this, this is most important thing again. So whenever we running an organization, when you when you deal with an individual, it may not be a complex. When it comes to the entire organization, they have different multiple LOBs, line of business, different departments, different groups, a lot of customer base, a lot of vendors, too many suppliers. So how to deal with them? At the same time, we have to deal and obey the government rules and regulations. Under that, we have to go with it. Get clean and stay clean is always important for any organization. This is one more advantage we can get through enterprise data governance. So I will run through couple of use cases we built. So this is one manufacturing industry use case. So in any of the manufacturing industries, what are the top KPIs or the top things they will see? Mission utilization. For example, they're in the process of making certain product. So they want to see mission utilization. So how much idle time, what is the issues that we are facing with the mission, how to automate it, how much time it is giving trouble to them, how much time it is going well, how can we improve the mission utilization. So these are one of the KPIs. Process efficiency, they might have certain processes, how to implement that efficiently, how to get the process efficiency, also important thing. And expense and management, this is most important. When starting of the design to get the product into the market, there are lot many cycles, there is a huge exercise is required on the back end. So in order to achieve the expense management, of course the cost minimization for any of the things are most important. So um, this expense management is so important for the manufacturing industry. Inventory levels, the inventory levels, what is their inventory at this moment, what is their supply chain and their demand outside, how much inventory, extra inventory they need to keep in order to ball running, keep functioning. So these are all the different KPIs. In order to get this all these KPIs efficiently, achieve this KPIs efficiently, we need a data governance that can help to business users in such a way that it makes business users operations more efficient to achieve a greater agility and minimize response times. And monitor your supply chain end to end, identify problems, bottlenecks before they reach critical processes. So once we reach the critical processes or critical stage, then we step back and repair it or rectify it. It take a lot of time, instead of reactive mode. Data governance policies or data governance framework will allow us to deal with that problem proactive way. So share your dashboards with suppliers and partners so that they can adjust to the latest information available. So once we have the correct data and we can provide correct reports, build the correct reports. So with that, we can build correct dashboards and proper dashboards. If we share these dashboards to the suppliers and end partners, so they can adjust their latest information available. For example, if they need to supply extra items, extra goods, they will plan for it. Maybe if they want to slow down, by looking at our dashboards and the kind of supply chain demands, they will adjust their plan so that nobody will get any kind of problem here. And then there is one more use case for supply chain. Any of the supply chain model, there are a couple of important things: order delivery monitoring, inventory management, demand forecasting. So in supply chain, I believe you lost the audio connection when I entered supply chain. So what sort of things that will be there in supply chain? Order delivery monitoring, inventory management, demand forecasting, and then sales trends. Order delivery monitoring, order tracking across the entire supply chain, including metrics such as on-time delivery, whether the goods are delivering on time or not, identify any delivery issues, evaluation of the vendor performance. For example, when we are dealing with the third-party vendors to make our supply chain successful, how to evaluate the vendor, performance. So if we are having a bad experience with certain vendor, how to replace? What is the alternative? So these are the some of the things that will deal in supply chain. Inventory management, and in inventory management, track inventory throughout the entire supply chain, from order through distribution, um, and sales floor up to the sales force, sales floor, and proactively generates alerts. For example, in inventory, certain stock is out, overstock or out of stock. In that case, there should be a mechanism to alert us deep insights to the customer behavior and sales trends. So this is one more inventory management aspect. Demand and forecasting. So get real-time insights of operations to adjust deliverables. So what is the demand and what is the forecast? What kind of demand that we expect in next 3 months, next 1 month, or next 6 months down the line. So we these kind of aspects also important in supply chain. And sales trends. In sales trends, valuable insights for merchants for providing real-time customers data analysis reports and help in making decisions for future. Valuable insights for merchants in sales trends, insights to the sales data, real-time tracking of sales goals. These are all very important aspects for a supply chain. With a effective and successful implementation of the data governance framework, we can achieve all of these in an effective way, in a better way, so that anybody who is in supply chain industry, maybe the functioning, they will get lot of advantage out of it.
So we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. And I have a couple that have come in throughout the webinar here. And the first one for you, Srini, is how long will it take to create a data governance initiative?
It's a good question. Of course, hypothetical question. Before this, answer this, we need to understand what sort of organization it is, how big organization it is, how many departments are there, and especially how many resources that we are planning to work on this initiative. And how serious about the different departments and LOBs that they're adopting this data governance. So it depends on all these factors. Maybe in a way I can say it's a mid-industry, mid-size industry. It may take a 6 months of time to implement the effective data governance framework. If it is a big organizations, it's go beyond 6 months to 1 year. But as I said earlier, it's not a project. It's not like a project just we implement so that it will automatically run on its own. It's not like that. Though we implement the data governance framework, this committee, steering committee, will keep on engaging it. So they should be so active to run this data framework successfully till the end. So that's what I hope answer your question. Thank you.
Great. That is a great answer. Thank you. And let's see, we've got some more questions for you here. Can you please provide more details on data cataloging? What is the role of domain owner and how it will be propagated across multiple data sources?
Correct. So especially in the data cataloging, what is the data stewards or data owner's role is here. For example, when we are dealing with the data catalog, the data, as I said in the earlier sections, the data is scattered across the organization in different multiple applications and multiple applications and multiple databases and different layers. The same sort of duplicate information will be there everywhere. When we are dealing the data cataloging, so we need to identify a certain LOB, certain group, or certain database or certain application. Okay, so let's start with this application to data catalog, build the data cataloging for this application. So if you have the similar kind of data sets, maybe critical data elements or the attributes in some other system also, how to prioritize it, which one is the correct one, what is the priority, what is the definitions of it, all these aspects we will cover under the data cataloging. In terms of data owners or data stewards, they have to deal with the data to pull the information up to here. When it comes to the stewards, they have to approve it. For example, we are proposing certain data elements into the data cataloging. So before we publish it to the public or the end users, there should be a mechanism of data users or data owners or data stewards to approve it. Stewards. There are two types of stewards: technical stewards as well as business stewards. Technical stewards will pull the data into the data catalog, but the business stewards will approve it. Will approve it, and then only it will publish to the public within the organization. So these are the roles and responsibilities at high level we have, but there are a lot many things involved under his roles and responsibility when they deal with the data cataloging. That's it from my side. I hope I answer your question.
Great, thank you for that. Let's see, our next question is who will oversee and review the data governance processes, which I'm not sure if that ties into our previous question, but I'll let you answer.
Can you repeat the question, Rachel?
Yes, sorry.
Sorry about it.
Who will oversee and review these data governance processes?
Correct. Good question, actually. As I mentioned in our presentation, there is a data governance committee will be there. Okay. So there is a steering committee is there. Within the steering committee, sponsors will be there, and certain data owners will be there, data stewards will be there, and implementers will be there, and enablers will be there. So end of the day, it's a common responsibility, but this steering committee members will approve it and enhance it, and further enhance it and approve it. The steering committee only. The members of the steering committee will approve that policies and process the data governance.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for that answer. And our next question is, what is your favorite tool to implement data governance and management?
Well, good question. There are a lot many tools and technologies available to implement the data governance these days. Some of the best tools are in the market are Informatica. Maybe from past 10 years, it was leading the market. Still, it's leading the market. It has a very good data governance tools. Of course, it has multiple other tools also to deal with the data like ETL, Informatica, Power Center, data quality tools, master data management tools, data governance tools, data lineage tools, metadata management and data lineage tools. So Informatica is the leading company in the market. But apart from that, if you're looking for the solution in a better price and easy way to implement, Collibra also we can consider as a best vendor. Collibra is getting its market day by day, gaining its market day by day. So we can suggest Collibra also one alternative tool for Informatica. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I've got some more questions for you. The next one is, if we have data governance framework already in place, can we change it now as our organization undergoes a lot of acquisitions and changes?
Yes, definitely. This is a good question actually. Many of the organizations, right, they're into business since 100 years or 50 years or 30 years. So when an organization establishes their business, initial days, it's not that important to have this data governance, maybe in a formal way, but they will have certain rules and regulations and policies. But once it's grown up, it is very mandatory to have them this data governance framework and model in place. Okay, for example, one organization implemented data governance framework 30 years ago, but over 30 years it has grown up a lot of acquisitions happened, lot of other company mergers are happened, lot of the other data acquisitions are happened. But whatever they have the data governance framework which designed and defined for 30 years ago will not work now. So in that case, we can enhance it, we can initiate this process, we will analyze it, and we will find out gap analysis, and we will understand how much of the already available data governance framework we can utilize, and what sort of things that we consider, or else completely we need a new framework. We will decide, we will implement. But for your question, yes, we can utilize it and we can enhance it further. Thank you.
Great. All right, we have one more question. And again, anyone out there listening, if you think of anything else, you can still pop that into the question. Oh, we actually just got a new one. So we've got two more questions for you. The first one is, how can an organization achieve unified data access control / data security using data governance?
Correct. It's very foremost important question. Thanks for asking this. Any of the organization, right? The data is the prime thing, foremost important thing is the data. Nowadays, we call it as a data-driven organization or a data-driven companies. So without data, data is like, oxygen for any of the company. to survive with. So in order to achieve the compliance or the security, there are certain rules and data governance framework. Like the steering committee is the most important one.
So how does data government and management, how can it be used to monetize data?
Yes, yes. Data monetizing is the one of the key aspect in the data governance. Okay, so we will define the multiple data assets. We will identify multiple data assets in the organization. We build the plan, we implement the plan, and we define certain rules and regulations for the data monetization. So under that rules and regularization, we implement a data monetization framework within data governance. So through that, we will take care this part. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, everyone. And thank you so much, Srini, for sharing your insights and experience with everyone. This was a really valuable webinar, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share that information with us. Everyone, thank you for your questions and for joining us today. I hope that you found value. And again, we will send out the deck from this webinar, as well as a link to our webinar on the 30th about Azure Data Catalog, if you're interested in joining us for that. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up this session. Thank you very much, Srini, and thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thanks all the participant, and valuable. Thanks for your valuable time. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you. Have a great day, everybody.